I have played around with ChatGPT and trying to generate my own program and just see what they can come up with. So yeah, so last week we had Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last week we had Sam. Today it's only the two of us. But we do have quite a interesting topic that we wanted to say. Now, from the previous episode when we had Eric on, we talked about AI and stuff like that, which brings us to a very interesting topic because with AI, now, just a self story that I'm going to just share. I have played around with ChatGPT and trying to generate my own program and just see what they can come up with. So I uploaded my photo from Edmonton and then I asked it, okay, so I'm gonna have to build up to 75 kilos and then I want a 5 day or 6 day split, it's up to you. And then I just want to build out as much muscle. So I gave it all these details and I asked it, okay, generate me a training program. And then it came out with a very high volume training, a lot of barbell, bent over rows and stuff like that. And then when I look at it, it sort of makes sense and it sort of doesn't make sense. So it's interesting. Now, I gave that AI program a run. I ran it for 2 weeks and then it just didn't work for me. So that I just had to change up some of the exercises. So I don't know about many others, but however, I just do think that the volume that it provides is very, very high. So I do think it's a bit of questionable decisions there. Have you tried something similar?
I haven't personally tried actually creating myself like a program through there. I've asked it questions to get ideas about things or bring up certain like research around stuff. But yeah, when it comes to generating programs, I feel like it knows like a decent level of ideas around creating it, but it doesn't notice like the minute things like with like the stimulus to fatigue ratio. Like when it comes to doing a barbell rows, like if you're doing a ton of volume with that, I can get pretty beat up. And I don't think it's intelligent enough to understand like, okay, like your rector's going to get work a lot there. If you're doing a lot of barbell work, like there's so many things that revolve around like training that like it doesn't really have enough information about, or like the like human experience on. Like it pretty much probably just draws like, oh, how many sets per muscle group per week kind of thing. And since higher volume generally what the research seems to be a little bit better, it's probably pushing for that. And it's probably just finding like very basic exercises that, oh, okay, this should work for that. Where I feel like compared to somebody that's actually very knowledgeable in this space, it just doesn't have like that high degree awareness of all the different movements, the concept of like fatigue. Yeah, like it's. I'm trying to think of how to explain this better.
You're on the right track of what I'm thinking. It's the exercise selection is a little bit questionable. So understanding the demand of the exercise. So what I saw in one of the generated, it asked me to do 4 sets of Bulgarian split squat.
Yeah.
I was like, that is that and like 10 reps per leg, and like that is insanely high. Like I don't know about you or any of the listeners, but 3 sets of Bulgarian split squat is hard for me.
Did it give you like the RPE, like how hard you should be training with those sets, or did it just kind of just give you like 4 sets of like 10 with Bulgarians split squats?
Yeah, so it does give those information. It gives a tempo. So for the Bulgarian split squat, it gave a tempo of 2 seconds and 1 second, 1 second pause, and I think a 1 second concentric. And then at the very bottom of the entire program, it talks about progression per week. It asks to do an increment of a 7.5 to an 8 RPE increment for week one, and then week two, up it by zero point 0.5 to 1 RPE. So it gives that and then deload after. So it's got these footnotes on, deloading after how many weeks. It's got all those information. So
Yeah.
which leads me to say, since AI is able to generate these sort of information, these information has been out in the social media for a long time now, since ever like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all these social media platforms have been part of daily living. These information has been shared by numerous influencers and numerous very high caliber coaches, such as we have some of the guests of the past few episodes. They share these informations out there quite a lot. Now, one of the things that is talked about a lot in our natural bodybuilding community is progressive overload, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's listening has heard of it or knows what it is. If you don't, do you mind sharing what that is for us?
Yeah, it's pretty much a sense of like your body's going to adapt to a continuous increase in stimulus to your body over time. I find a lot of people get it wrong because they think that, okay, like if I can continue to increase my loads, that's going to trigger that this progressive overload kind of mechanism. Whereas it's your body's response to a certain degree of stimulus. So, like, if you're constantly hitting that threshold, over time, your body's going to adapt and get stronger as a result of like the progressive overload. Whereas some people think it's like the other way, where it's like, oh, you have to continue to push to have weights go up. But if you are somebody that is more advanced, like it's going to take a long time to even see sometimes just like a 1 rep increase in certain movements. So like you might be thinking, oh, I'm not progressive overloading this week because like last week um, I did the same weight, the same reps, but you're still hitting that certain threshold to create an adaptation kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely exactly what it means. Now, with AI, Google, everything, a lot of individuals, we could just Google what the definition is. But I think with that explanation, it gives a little bit more clarity on some sort of application, which brings me to my next point is with progressive overload definition out there, I think the most important one is application. Now, application is always hard. Theories and thesis statements are all out there, and also something on how to apply it is also what I wanted to discuss. Now, there's two types of applications. One of them is program application, and the other, I think, is practical application. So there's a little bit to a difference of them. So programming application is when should we start adding sets or start adding reps or start increasing RPE, stuff like that. And then the other one is what did I say? Practical application? Yeah. So practical application is what it looks like when you're actually within the lift. So what exactly you're doing at the gym and what it actually looks like, what it actually should feel like. So let's talk about programming application first. With so much programming out there, so many coaches who's providing free programs and even us coaching. So I think this program is this topic is good for not only coaches but also for general lifters who are doing their own programming. I think we can shed a little bit of light. When is it a good time to reassess your program and either change or deload? This is the tricky decision is do we need to change the program or you just need to deload and then just do your program again? So this is where I wanted to start first. So
Yeah.
Brandon, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So in terms of figuring out like, oh, if it's a good time to, okay, we need to pull back, we need to deload, or we simply just need to actually add more volume or more sets or push a little bit harder in the program. It's going to come down to quite a few things. First one is how are you progressing? So are you continuing to progress or are things really starting to slow down? Are you actually seeing regression where you're actually not able to use as many do as many reps with the same load, or you having to use actually less load? That's one that we want to look at. But we also want to look at other factors like, hey, like how was your sleep? How was like your hydration? How was your stress that week? Because sometimes that's a big thing too that will happen is you'll just have a week where there's just a lot of stuff going on. Sleep's not great. Your eating behaviors aren't as good. So then that interferes with training. So looking at that, looking at the progression, and then looking at how your body's feeling too. So if you are feeling like, okay, like my joints are feeling fine, workouts are still feeling good. When you're training, you still feel like you're getting a good like disruption in like the muscle group that you're trying to target. Even I find even looking at pump a little bit is a good idea. Not always just like solely focused just on that, but understanding if okay, you're getting generally good pumps. So looking at all these factors, if your sleep is good, if your nutrition is good, your hydration, um, and all that stuff is good, but you are feeling like joints are a little bit beat up, you're not progressing as well, then that's probably a good idea to have a week or so where we're pulling back with volume, or we're maybe adding a couple rest days to incorporate like a deload. Other way around is if, okay, like things seem to be progressing, or like say we're not like regressing, but they seem to be starting to level off. You're still feeling having really good training sessions. Maybe at the end of the training session, you feel like you maybe even have a little bit more energy. Like that, your body's adapted to that amount of stimulus that you could potentially add more. So if that's the case, then it might be okay. Like you might need a little bit more volume. Oh, you might need to make some modifications to the program to, yeah, add more volume and maybe add more exercises in as your body has adapted to the current amount of stimulus that you're getting. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I would totally agree with that. Now I'm going to ask the obvious question. There are days where we have good days and we have bad days, and some bad days are going to extend for 3 days or plus. Now, how do you identify, or any tips for you to identify to some of the listeners to when you actually need a deload?
Gotcha. Yeah, I would say it would be the length of it and like those other factors too, because like usually you're having a bad day because of something. I remember 2 weeks back, like we were actually doing a challenge in my Facebook group on like it was like the hydration challenge. So just making sure we're getting enough fluids coming in, and like I kind of noticed like the week before that I was actually having not the greatest workouts. And like my nutrition was good, my sleep was pretty solid, but there was just kind of something missing, and I started having more fluids coming in for like the week of the hydration challenge. I'm like, oh shit. I think this was probably the issue right here. I was just probably slightly dehydrated going into those training sessions. So yeah, looking at those kind of variables, okay, like what my stress was at, what all these other things were at, and if it's continuing, like, because like yeah, there's always like sometimes you can have everything perfect, and like you just have like kind of a shitty workout session. So I wouldn't just be like, okay, I need a deload now. Like, look at your next couple of training sessions. Okay, like, is it like 3? Is it like 4? Is it like 5 training sessions in a row where you're like, man, like, what is going on? Like, I can't perform as well. Joints are hurting. I'm just dead tired. Like, my motivation to actually train is way down. Those are some good indicators that okay, maybe it's time to take a deload for a week or so. Even sometimes just taking out 2 to 3 training days, because like for me with deloads, I actually don't like focusing on decreasing the intensity. Because for me, I find every time I do a workout, like a deload workout, where I'm intentionally lowering the loads and trying not to train as close to failure, it just kind of feels like a really shitty session. So I would way rather either just decrease like the amount of sets I'm doing. So if I'm usually doing like 3 or 4 sets, I'll just bring it down to like 1 or 2 sets. Um, if I'm usually doing like 4 or 5 sessions per week, I'll just take out 1 or 2 sessions. And that way I'm having another rest day, and I'm able to recover a bit more with the deload.
Yeah, I think that's a really good, good pointer for some of the listeners, knowing, identifying where the line is going to be. Now, sometimes this line is a little bit more blurry. Now, I've had sessions where I was really I had almost a week of a shitty training session, just probably just due to stress. But then the week after, I felt good. So it might not necessarily be, it could be some false alarms and things like that. But knowing now, understanding on, when and where to apply program adjustments, what about the actual practical stuff? So when you're at the gym, what does the lift look like? When is it when is it a good time to actually change some exercise selections?
So yeah, for exercise selections, I think Mike Israel coined the term like stale when something just feels not great anymore. Like if something is like you're say performing this exercise, say it's like a barbell bench press or something, and your elbow is just each time you're doing it, it just keeps getting more irritated, more irritated.
Mm.
Maybe when it comes to like the stimulus from it, like you're like, man, like I've noticed like lately, oh my shoulders feels like it's taking more of like the disruption in my chest. Like maybe you're not getting the best like stimulus. You don't feel like you're getting a stimulus anymore with that exercise. I noticed this quite a bit too. Sometimes if we are progressing too quickly, I've definitely been bad for this with certain movements where I'm like, okay, this was where I jump in loads a little bit quicker than I probably should, and then like the target muscle group isn't quite getting hit as much, or some secondary muscle groups are starting to take over a little bit more. This form starting to shift, and sometimes that can lead to those kind of things too. So making sure, yeah, it might mean not progressing quite as quick, but you're still going to get a better stimulus that way. But yeah, in terms of the exercise, pretty much how your joints are feeling, how the actual movement's feeling, um, are probably going to be like the big indicators if we should be switching that out. And same with like if it's progressing, because like when you first start a new movement, it's going to progress real quick, and then it's going to start to slow down. You still want to keep going and starting to slow down because you're probably getting some neurological adaptations to that movement. At first, the progression is going to be quicker. Then it's going to slow down. But once you get to a point where say it's becoming stagnant, where you're not seeing progress in like the reps or the load for say like a month or over a month, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's worth switching it out now, if we're really starting to hit a wall with it.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add to that is besides looking at those factors of considering changing exercises, I think it also will depend on what the body is kind of feeling on that day. I'll give you an example. Let's say barbell benching. Okay. So it really does come to a point where barbell benching is going to be neurologically more demanding compared to a seated machine flat press. So loading the bar, the stability demand, so all that in consideration is also a good indicator on when is it a good time to actually change it. So if the body is actually not feeling a good pump from the barbell bench press for, let's say for you, like a month or even so, yeah, I think it's also a good time. Like it's that you still need that movement, but probably switching it. So I think that's how we want to get the point over is just how you link this stuff together and adjust the program. This other practical standpoint is as you mentioned, joint pain and other stuff. Now, I just want to just bring a little bit on nutrition side to this. So let's say if the case is you're in a maintenance phase, but your joints are kind of feeling more dry and you're just not feeling the pump as well. Would you consider increasing the calories or just dial back the volume if fatigue is just climbing rapidly?
Yeah, I would say it depends on like where we're at body composition wise. Because yeah, like say for example, if somebody's trying to maintain and like say they're not competing, they're in their off season,
Yeah.
they're trying to maintain it too low of a body fat percentage, then yeah, I would say yeah, it's probably a good idea to bring those calories up, create a small surplus to ensure that the recovery capacity is a little bit higher. Because yeah, if you're in a deficit or even a maintenance is not too bad. Like usually you can recover quite well. Yeah, I would say it might be a good idea to actually bring calories up just to really enhance your ability to recover. Yeah. What about your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I actually totally agree with that. Mainly is also speaking from what I did personally 2 weeks ago. Is, and of course, everybody knows I bulk. Bringing calories up actually did help. Not as you also mentioned before, the hydration part. So I brought up my water and I brought up my carbohydrates. And those two mix actually very well together. There was a couple of exercises that I felt some of my joints were a little bit more achy. Now, me increasing about 100 to 200 calories on just carbohydrates and water actually made me feel a lot better. So having more fluid in the body does help the joints and help me just get through the exercises and it just helped me push through. So that was the week that I just talked about. There was one week where I felt really shitty and I thought that it needed a deload, and then I increased my foods and my water, and then the other week felt fine. So that was the exact same example that I wanted to bring up. Now, I think we have, really good information on what progressive overload should actually look like. Now, with AI and all that stuff, they give you an outline on what that should look like. But do you think that would, do you think that's still enough?
Because everybody's going to be a little bit different when it comes to their ability to progressively overload. So sometimes they'll give generic, like, try to add 5 pounds per week or something, or have like, because like you would, I even seen this a lot in like programs back like 10 years ago, or ones that I used to run where it's like, okay, try to add 5 pounds each week to this, try to add 10 pounds per week to this. I even used to progress, like program people like that. But everybody's going to progress a little bit differently. And if you're trying to get them to lift heavier than their body's like capable of, form starts getting messed up. So um, I feel like, yeah, if AI is giving progressions based off of that, it's probably not the best thing to go off of. Unless you're actually like, oh, I felt like this day, that you'd have to be actively communicating through it throughout, and it might be able to help you a bit more. Yeah, there's just so many variables that I don't think AI is quite smart enough right now anyway to
Mhm.
be able to detect if what's an actual good choice and what's not a good choice. I remember Steve Hall made a post on his social media. This comes to like peak week, so it's a little bit different than actual like programming. But he was talking about like he was just like trying to see, oh, like if I take a photo of this person, put it into ChatGPT, if it would be able to tell them if they're flat or full, or like what I think he asked it what body fat percentage he was at in the photo, and like he was, I think he mentioned he was probably around 12% body fat. It told him he was 8% body fat. So I think there's still a pretty large degree of error in terms of its ability to acknowledge some of these factors. Same with programming, like I mentioned, like you mentioned, like it gave you so much volume that seems like your body you weren't able to manage. So if somebody's like brand new to working out and like they ask ChatGPT to create a program for them, it might give them more than what they are able to recover from, or it might be a little bit too advanced. Like there's so many different variables with individuals. That's where like being a coach 101, you can really dissect, okay, like what has this person been doing before? What movements have been feeling really good? What are like the different leverages? Like, do they have very long like femurs? And like, so like you can really be very specific with the programming for them. Whereas, yeah, ChatGPT, I just don't think it has that skill yet.
Yeah, I agree. Speak of having the coaches having a more personal connection and personal conversation with the athlete. And so, what would you think? What a bigger challenge for coaches in making that decision in increasing load or volume at that specific time for the athlete?
Yeah, so that's where it's going to be looking at those markers. Like it's going to be looking at progress photos too, looking at maybe circumference measurements like on arms as well. If you're trying to grow your arms, like to see, okay, it's what we're doing actually working. Yeah, and then you can chat with them and get a really nice detailed like what's actually going on with those sessions to see, okay, like are they recovering well? Are they feeling good in those sessions? Are they feeling super beat up? Looking at all these different variables and making a decision based off of that. And a lot of times it's slowly increasing volume up over time. Whereas it seems like ChatGPT is just like 0 to 100 when it comes to the programming. Because I've seen it before too with people on social media, like, oh, okay, I typed in like this workout from ChatGPT, it gave me this, and they went through the workout, and they're like, man, like this is like a very brutal session. Like some of these movements don't really make sense together.
Yeah. So I would also say the same is making that when is a good time to make that decision to increase to push the athlete to progress and making and also the decision of probably what to change. It seems like there is a time and place to make changes, but really if is it something that the coaches want to change just to seem like they're working or an actual change is needed. I think that's also a very, very difficult decision to make while you were programming for clients. Now, some clients also may feel the same. It's a two-way thing. They might feel like, okay, I've been doing this program for like what, 12 weeks now. They will get bored and they might seek for the coach's opinion in, hey, do you think we need to change something? It's like I'm doing very good at this exercise. I'm progressing well, and I feel that such and such and such. So they'll probably give answers that we usually want to hear and to make a change. So they might give us this answer. So how would you not move around it, but how would you identify if it's something that the athlete feels like they're bored versus, or they're not like they're not enjoying the workout versus they actually need it?
Yeah. Yeah. So like you mentioned, like ChatGPT is very pleasing, people pleasing. So
Yeah.
if you're saying, oh, I don't feel like doing this more, it's just going to make you another program. Even if what you're currently doing is providing a really good stimulus and you starting up all these new exercise, you're going to have to relearn them and all that stuff. And like, it might slow down progress over time. So I love where you're getting at this point where it's like, you need to, yeah, like programs over time are going to get boring. Like it's one of those things that can get kind of tedious doing the same thing over and over again.
Mhm.
But you've already learned that movement. You've been progressing with it. If you're still progressing with it, if we're still seeing really good progress, like there's no need to change it up. Changing it up might even slow down that progress. So, like I mentioned before, like looking at the kit, are they actually still progressing really well? Are joints and everything feeling good? Are they getting proper recovery? If these kind of things are going really smoothly, but they're just, okay, I'm kind of bored of this. Um, you want to encourage them to continue on it to the point where like there's some degree of like, yeah, we wanted to make sure that they're not going to be so bored that they're just going to jump off the program and just not do it. But like you have to encourage them. Okay, like, hey man, just 4 more weeks of this program. These last couple weeks, though, you might be getting sick of these exercises. It's going to be better for us to continue with this program for another 4 weeks rather than hop off and trying to start all these new exercises.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. That's also being why people say that bodybuilding is such a lonely sport because you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's not only like lifting heavy is also what we call quote unquote grind, but the grind is so extensive. Like somebody, we have some athletes who've been prepping for what? Not prepping, but just prepping for a show for over 12 months, just
Yeah.
including a short bulking phase and then a pre-cut and then into the actual prep cut. So it's long, you know, we might be spending at least 4 to 5 months on probably even the same program. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the thing I wanted to say is, yeah, AI will generate a pretty it's learning. I would say it's definitely something in the future, and it's not really in the future. It's now, honestly. Like Eric Helms did say that there are apps out there. I think there's one that's like called My like Coach AI or something like that. That's an app that's trying to replace all these online training coaching apps like what Trainerize. It's got everything in there. Like it's got like a nutritional menu. It's got the training program. It can all be generated by AI based upon your client's, let's say, weight, height, goal, gender, all that stuff. I haven't really personally looked into it, but understanding like these pointers, like, yes, AI could potentially be the future. It is sort of now, but it's still got, there is some things that it just couldn't do, like as like we could humans can do.
Yeah. Well, I feel like when it comes to information, like there's so much information out there. Like if you put in the work and you find all the information, you could create your own program for you and have it be pretty decent to follow. But I find it's usually the accountability to actually get it done because people know what they need to do, but they're just not doing it, right? So usually it's that second eye, somebody literally just like hovering over them, hey man, like let's get this done, or like checking in with them to make sure they're actually doing the thing. Because like I used to literally like do like a lower tier program where I would just send a program to people or just nutrition people and like let them do whatever they like to try to follow it. There's maybe like 5% of the people that did that actually succeed. The rest just fell off and didn't do anything. It's because they didn't have any accountability. So I think when it comes to the biggest reason why like the like actually having a human coach works is because we can like there's more accountability out there. Like I feel like I could be wrong, but with like just an AI, you chat with an AI, it's like, oh, like, it doesn't really matter if I don't follow it. Like I don't really care. Whereas when you hire a coach, like I feel like, especially if you may have like a really good relationship with your coach, um, I've always felt like, okay, if I'm not doing this, I'm letting this person down. Like if there's that sense of accountability, and like I know if I don't do this, he's going to reach out to me, like, hey, what's going on here? So I think that's like the biggest thing with coaching. Like even for competition prep people, like especially in the when you get into those deeper phases, when you get into your head, if you don't have somebody there keeping you going down like the proper way, like it's really easy to be like, oh fuck, I'm not lean enough. I'm gonna like cut all my calories or do something really stupid. So getting people to not do that, especially like if you're in that state and you're asking AI these questions and stuff, I don't know how it's gonna respond if it's gonna. But yeah, so I think that's where the human kind of side of coaching is really useful.
Yes, that is also something. It's I think the accountability is something. It's just I wouldn't say reporting, but responding to a human versus responding to machine.
Yeah, you're gonna have more of that connection with a human versus like an
Yeah.
AI, I would assume, or like that's how I feel anyway.
Well, yeah, you can say that. Machine has no feelings versus a human.
And they're people pleasing, right? So like, because there's been times where like I've written things into ChatGPT, and I'm like they always try to like be like
They tell you
I
what
don't
you
know,
want to
like,
hear. Yeah.
yeah, they tell you what you want to hear. Whereas like an actual coach is like, hey man, like you do this, like this is going to be the actual outcome. Like I really highly suggest you do not do this. Whereas I feel like it might kind of be too agreeable at times. But
Yeah, I know. Like they don't tell you stuff that we talk about off camera. We so that's also the fun part where with somebody who tells you it's not something that you like to hear. But I just prefer it that way. That call me old school, but that's I would much prefer it if somebody just yells at me instead of just telling me something that's just soften as the blow and like. If you soften a blow for me, it doesn't work for me. It just says like, oh, okay, so I got away with it, and yeah,
and that's where like with the coaching relationship works because like there's some people where I have to be a lot more harsh when it comes to the coaching. There's other people that yeah, like they need a bit more of a softer approach, or else they just get super emotional and blow up if you're like too aggressive with it. So knowing your clientele, like okay, like this person likes to be coached this way, this person likes a bit more of an aggressive coach, and that's where I'm sure I might be able to figure it out over time, but I don't know. I just don't think we're quite at that point yet.
yeah. But all in all, from a programming standpoint, it is like AI is learning fairly quickly. I would say that it's only a matter of time that it will manage the same programs that we pump out. The other thing is it just cannot produce is the same accountability and the same detail within the given time frame. That's the only thing I think it cannot give, unless all of a sudden technology just blows up and basically we're living what Iron Man is living. Like it's literally talking to you like a human. That's a different story.
And then you have a robot physically saying, "Get off your hands!" Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
because like I don't know, like I'm sure, like give it like 10, 15 years, like yeah, like we might not have the same kind of job when it comes to like coaching. Like
Yeah.
they likely will be able to have be smart when it comes to programming and all these kind of things, which is definitely a scary thought to have. But then it's like I'm sure like you just have to adapt with it. Like I think with AI now being able to use it for certain things that it's good at to help make you a better coach, I feel like is going to be something like in the future where maybe it gets to the point where it is smarter than us, but then it's like okay, we can utilize it together with like the human experience and like its knowledge and then combine like a really good program or provide a very good coaching service. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's going to be interesting, I feel like, in the future because I know with like meta and stuff with it going into virtual reality, like with like potentially even coaching like that with like the glasses on, like being like a personal trainer for somebody that's like in a different country. I'm sure like that will be something. I don't know if that's already happening, but that could be something too. But yeah, no, there's just so many uncertainties, I guess, with AI in the future with what that's going to look like for coaching. What's that's even going to look like for any job? Because like they're gonna like I don't know. It's a very weird thing to think about.
Yeah. But there is something that AI that cannot replace is manual therapy. So any sort of manual therapy or any sort of manual service, I don't think it can replace. So there are like health and beauty stuff that they can't replace. Kinesiologist, they can't replace. Physio, they can't replace. RMT, they
Well,
can't replace. But yeah, it could actually replace quite a bit of other stuff. I don't know about
well,
I don't know psychiatrists. I don't know about that.
I,
Because
I would like I would say like if because like if it becomes smarter than like university psychologists, like
Yeah.
teacher or whatever, like because I'm sure they'll get to a point where it's like that. Even with physios, even like they'll be able to scan your whole body probably in the future and understand what the hell is going on. Like so, like I don't know. Like I feel like pretty much there's probably a possibility for them to like take over every single job. Like even with the physio, like manual therapy, like I'm sure there could be like a humanoid robot that can actually like do tissue massages and stuff like that in the future. So
Oh yeah,
I
you're not
don't
wrong because there are massage chairs now, right?
know. Yeah.
Oh shit.
I don't
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's just hope that this day doesn't come that soon. At least way after beyond our time, so we'll still have a job.
Yeah, but no, I think it's just yeah, being able to use like all the tools as a coach. Like I feel like if you aren't trying to utilize like AI to some degree to help you with your coaching, like even like I don't think like trying to get all your knowledge from like AI right now isn't the best thing. Like I don't think you're not going to be able to write like a really well done program. You need that personal experience. You need working with clients. You need all of that information, like the actual research, and be able to understand properly. Because I know AI sometimes when it's summarizing things can be. It does seem to be getting better, but I have seen sometimes where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not really sure. Like that's what they're trying to say in this post, kind of things.
Yeah, I agree. So what we're really saying is, what we're really trying to say is, if you need coaching, come find us because we're more than happy to help. Yeah, that's basically what we wanted to just bring to everybody's attention is yes, AI is a good tool, but we would highly recommend a have somebody a coach to actually look at it, and that type of volume might not fit you. Some at work it's a hit or miss here. But if you get to talk to a coach, actually human person, it's just more accurate to assess what your needs and versus what your wants are. Now, as Brandon also just said, a lot of AI, like in ChatGPT, it's a lot of people pleasing stuff. If you, they might not understand, the system might not understand what your needs might be. It really is just everything that you input into it. And based off what you input it gives you an answer just on that. Now, there are all the different variables that you have may not told the AI, so it wouldn't put that into consideration.
Yeah.
But just talking to another person, we could probably figure it out through your voice, the way you say stuff, and we'll ask questions. Like I don't know how AI ask deeper questions, but I haven't ran into any yet.
Yeah. They will sometimes like if you ask a specific question, they will ask to like dive a little bit deeper into it. But yeah, like I don't know if it would be the best at asking the right questions for like programming for to like really fine tune things to yourself. Like there would have to be like a lot of like complex, I would say, prompts to try to get things to be like perfect for you. I would say it's currently at its current state, it's probably not going to produce the best outcome.
I know we dove a little deep with the AI stuff, which we're not really meant to. But we wanted to just make a point out on progressive overload and when to actually apply them. That's pretty much what our main point was going to surround ourselves with is when is the good time to progress overload and when is a good time to pull back and just giving pointers on identifying when is it a good time instead of just pushing yourself mindlessly week after week after week after week. And one of my pointers is something that I think you made a really good point on is understanding a program is going to be the same and it doesn't require a lot of change. Why change stuff if it's working?
Yeah.
So that is something that I think you made a really good point and which I felt really strongly about is just making that same point even though no matter circumstances. I think that's something that you really need to just pay attention and just keep going. And it's a lonely sport. Bodybuilding is a lonely sport. The community's here. We're all here for you. We'll just support and just root for you all that way. But yeah, progressing that just week after week, and that's just the way to do it. That's also the smartest way if you not just ask our what the who's the science genius? Jeff Nippert, right? He
Oh
would
yeah.
probably say the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I would say too, like if you are going to change your program, like don't try to rechange every single exercise. Literally just swap out a couple, exercises, maybe change slight rep ranges, just so you're not like starting fresh with everything. Like that's where I would see the most mistake when it comes to changing the program is like swapping literally everything out and like starting fresh. Whereas just making some minute changes to maybe a couple because like more complex exercises, like say doing like a hack squat or like a barbell RDL or something like that. Like you want to have that in there for a large portion of time. Something like a dumbbell preacher curl, like that's quite easy to learn. It's not going to be as hard to master. So something like that could probably be switched out a little bit quicker. So just knowing like those movements that should be switched out sooner and switched out a little bit later as well.
Yeah, I agree. Good point.
Yeah.
Any final words for us?
Um, no, just I just it's gonna be an interesting future with AI.
Yeah,
That's
I
all.
agree. I agree. But yeah, rather shorter episode today. We just wanted to get that point out. Just speaking of bodybuilding seasons, we've got Saskatchewan, I think in WF Canada, Saskatchewan coming in about 2 weeks. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something about 2 weeks, and that's going to be one of the last few W Canada shows before the pro show at Calgary. Pro show in Calgary is going to be 11th or 12th of October.
Yeah, I think the 11th sounds right.
Something
Yeah.
like that, right? And then the
Yeah.
12th on the pro show. So that's going to be the last fall show of this year. And then it's going to be Worlds at November in LA this year. Are you going to go to Worlds?
Probably not. No. Are
Yeah.
you thinking about going or no?
No, 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 no. Wife has still got school. She's like in her last semester, so it's going to be a dick move for me to leave to LA, which she hasn't been before. Just go by myself, that's not such a dick move. I don't think I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, closing out this episode. So thanks guys for listening. We'll probably see you guys next time. Okay.
See ya.